So implicit bias is when somebody has stereotype confirming thoughts. So it means that your brain notices a pattern based on generalizations about people that you've seen in your community or on television. And these generalizations lead to overgeneralizations, which can cause somebody to make assumptions for a whole group of people. So they believe that what is true for the one person that they know or that they've seen represented must be true for a group of people. And then when those generalizations are confirmed over and over again or reinforced, it becomes something that they associate with an entire population, whether it fits all of those people or not. So, this doesn't mean that people are intentionally trying to hurt others and to kind of beat them down. It's the reason that it's labeled implicit is because these are subconscious thoughts and behaviors. And because they're subconscious, we do a lot of things based on what we've learned early and what's been reinforced with us. And that potentially causes a really negative impact. So people with disabilities are often a marginalized group that face implicit bias. And an example would be, there's this thought that if somebody is disabled, that they should be pitied, that they can't do something, that they can't more than they can. And if that's something that's been portrayed to you in media, or maybe there's one kid in school growing up that you knew, or one kid in your church group or wherever it is, and they were pitied a lot, that's going to be reinforced as you grow. And then as an adult, if you don't have friends with disabilities or you don't have friends that have disclosed that they have a disability, those thoughts never get challenged and they become the stereotypes that you base a lot of information off of.
I don't, speaking from my own experience, pity feels really gross. And it also, like, there's a Brene Brown video of like, what's the difference between empathy and sympathy? And it just reminds me, like, when you're pitying someone, they tend to be lower down than you. So there's so many really gross feelings about that. I know that most of us have experienced maybe a moment of that, and nobody wants to. So for folks that are newly identifying as a person with disabilities, some of the implicit bias can be directed back toward ourselves. And we're hoping to uproot those negative consequences from our own implicit bias too.
Yeah, and I don't want to make this sound like it's a us versus them scenario, that it's people with disabilities that are being stereotyped and judged inadvertently by people without disabilities. This is something that happens within the community as well. Like any group, there can be a hierarchy. And so there is a hierarchy within the disability community where there are some disabilities that are seen as more mainstreamed, more superior, less impactful on day-to-day living. And so there's still a lot of stigma around different disabilities, especially mental health or developmental and intellectual disabilities. So this is something that even if somebody has a disability, they can still carry some implicit bias and some harmful thoughts that can perpetuate some negative stereotypes. So it's a learning process for everybody. It's a constant learning process.